Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of Sherlock Holmes with, what's his face? Robert Downey Jr.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Game of Shadows. Or a Game of Shadows.
Can't forget the A.
Yeah. Again, love this movie. So, I've already seen it. Gabby had not seen it, obviously, or the first one. So, it was a little new for her, but, I think it was probably, I would say it was as good as the first one.
Yeah.
Maybe not better.
I think it depends on what you want in a movie.
Yeah, it was definitely more, there was a lot more blood. There was a lot more action. Like, it was definitely, this one was definitely less family friendly than the other one was. But I think, it was a good movie. And I felt like, from an action perspective and that kind of thing, it felt more, intense, or felt like there was more at stake. Yeah. So,
for sure.
This is a good movie again. Obviously, if you have watched the first one now, or you haven't watched the first one, you should watch both of them, because they go together. And I did just find out that there might be a new one in 2021 with the same cast, so that would be cool. So that's exciting. There's some super cool scenes with Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty that you see. We get a lot more of Holmes and Watson's relationship.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, good movie. All right, now we're going to get into spoilers.
Spoiler!
So, spoiler alert. If you're going to watch the movie, don't watch this. Unless you like spoilers, and then I guess go ahead and watch it. But we are going to spoil the movie
right now.
All right, so first of all, there's a fight scene right out of the gate, which is pretty intense. But it was a little, first of all, he's Sherlock Holmes. It was super smart. But I felt like it was a little, like he was a psychic, almost. Like, we got the slow-mo fight, but there was no slow-mo explanation before.
That, I think, is my biggest problem with this movie. I feel like the first one set it up really cleanly, where you would see the fight play out in his head in slow-mo, and then it would, you would then see it in, real time and really quickly. And I really like that in the first movie, just because I felt like it gave Sherlock a more, and I think I used the term, a madman, crazy aspect to it, and I really appreciated that in the first film. And then when we got to this one, we saw the slow-mo, but no explanation. And I don't know if I took it as, psychic-y or whatever, but I just felt like it was, losing that sense of, crazy in him.
Yeah, and it was weird, because, you expected it the other way. So one of the funniest things was, the whole Holmes and Watson's bachelor party thing. There's just a lot that happened. But just the fact that then, after the bachelor party, all this stuff happens, they both get beat up, basically, and then they show up on his wedding day, and he wakes him up in the cart, and it's time to go, and he's all bruised up, and I thought that was pretty hilarious.
The train sequence, all of it, just as a whole, was just perfection, I would say, because it was funny, it was actiony, and it was just done really well.
Yeah, well, and it's hilarious. You had Sherlock dressed as a woman.
Yeah, and then that, the smudged makeup throughout.
Yeah, and then the whole lipstick scene where he's he's the one that cuts the power, and the lipstick is stuck in a gun, and all that kind of stuff. One of my favorite parts, they're laying in between the two seats, and he and Watson's what are we doing? And he's we're hiding, and I'm smoking, as he's trying to light a pipe, which is just really funny. Because it's that, that perfect comedic timing between them as they're getting, shot by a huge machine gun of the day. One of the funniest things is when they're trying to get to the factory, Sherlock Holmes is on a pony, and he's so far behind everyone else. And then you have just multiple scenes of him just riding the pony, and the pony's going twice the speed as the horses, but going half as fast, technically. One of the other things too is there's this huge scene in the woods where there's a lot of slow-mo, and before then the slow-mo had always been inside of Holmes' head as him kind of making the scene, and so it was kind of weird that there was slow motion without his head. Yeah, and I get why they did it. It makes it more suspenseful and makes the action more awesome, I guess.
Yeah.
But like it's weird because like you're so used to seeing it only in his head when he's like, you know, making up scenes of how a fight's going to happen.
Yeah, I felt like they just put it in there because it made it look cool. Instead of having a purpose necessarily.
Yeah, and then one of the coolest things too is like the whole chess match. That was pretty cool, and like how they're basically, I mean, the whole movie is like a chess match basically is what they're kind of saying, and that they keep like whatever. And you know, at one point like Holmes is saying basically sometimes you have to make a sacrifice to win, kind of thing. And I thought that was like a really cool metaphor because I love chess. I used to play all the time,
and it showed the chess game perfectly, like was a parallel, I guess you would say, to what was actually going on between the two. And just like that scene within itself, I think is the best scene of the entire movie, because you had, especially like then, like as it escalates to the fight, you had Sherlock going and like calculating everything, but then what was the other guy's name?
Moriarty.
Moriarty like
was doing the exact
same thing, and it was almost like their minds were talking to each other as they were like calculating what the other person's next step was.
Well, and that was portrayed kind of when they were doing the vocal chess match, like they were having it in their head, which I mean used to happen a lot like in early times, obviously. But that's something that takes like a lot more intelligence to do. And then Sherlock surprises him by doing something completely out of the ordinary and jumping both of them off, you know, into the water. And then you basically assume that Holmes is dead. And like, that's pretty crazy. But then Watson gets the box that has the breathing apparatus in it. And then it's like, oh, he's alive. And he's actually hiding in the chair, which we went back and looked. And I mean, it's hard to see him. Like, you can tell that there's something there, but like,
it looks like a lumpy chair.
Yeah, if you didn't know that he was there. So that was cool. And I mean, we had seen that before where he's like, I'm trying to make the perfect camouflage.
Yeah, well, that's something that I even thought about. Like, we should have expected that at the end, because it's the whole philosophy of when you're writing and you put a gun in the scene, it has to go off in the second act. And so it was like, they set it up perfectly. They gave us that gun metaphor of like
the breathing apparatus. And
I was thinking of the camouflage. They gave it, well,
because he never used it.
Yeah. They set it up, and then so much happens that you just forget about it. It was one line, it was one scene, like so long, like an hour ago, that you forget about it, and then you shouldn't be surprised, but you are when it goes off later.
So out of these both movies, what was your like favorite like kind of moment?
Oh, I don't know. I think the chess match probably, but I think the dog, honestly.
The dog. Yeah, where he's just constantly drugging this dog. Yeah.
And at the end, he like basically kills the poor thing.
One of my favorite parts is probably from the second movie that we just watched, and it's the part where Watson walks in and there's plants everywhere, and then he gets shot by like dart basically from a blowgun, and I thought that was really hilarious. And then that's where the camo comes in, but I, you know, it's just funny because he's like, you would be dead basically, which I think is hilarious.
Another good scene from the first one was the smoke scene at the end, whenever Sherlock was in the room in the Parliament building, and then he was like taken there, and then he closed off the fireplace or whatever, and so it was like smoking out the room. And then he just jumped out the window.
But overall, these were great movies. We watched the special features on this one, and there wasn't a lot. I mean, they were talking a lot about the movie and just kind of some of the things, but I mean, it wasn't like crazy amazing special features.
The main thing I think I took away from it was the idea that, like, so on this movie, they had a chess specialist. And, like, stuff like that you never think about, but it's like...
That's crazy that they had a dude that literally was there for chess. And, like, and basically, when they discovered that they wanted the queen to be sacrificed, then he said he had a chess database of all these moves and had to go through them and figure out which one would work the best for the movie, which, I mean, is just super interesting.
And the original, like the stories of Sherlock, how they never played chess... And it's such a Sherlock game or whatever, but they were like, the author never probably played chess, so they couldn't, like, he couldn't come up with, like, that play because he would never, like, he wouldn't know how to make it cool if you know chess.
Overall, obviously recommend this series.
Yep.
It's great.
Check it out. And it's Robert Downey Jr. You can't go wrong with him.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we are going to have another movie to watch, obviously. So we're going to pull one and see what we get before the end of this video. I guess
go
I'll pull
for
this
it.
time.
Don't.
Hopefully it's not Serenity. Running joke. Geez. What's it going to be? Mr. Peabody and Sherman. So we get an animated film going on. So look forward.
One day Rosalind can join us.
Yeah. Look forward to watching Mr. Peabody and Sherman with us pretty soon. And if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do that. Other than that, follow our socials. Gabby just posted a blog yesterday, so check that out.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye.